What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Lucid Daily. And today we have two things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the stock price action as well as a Business Insider article that was actually produced, from what I understand, today. And they let a couple of inside details out that I think we should talk about. And I think that it just provides us a greater outlook of exactly what to expect from Lucid going forward and some things that we may not have known to start with. So let's go ahead and get started. First off, to start with the share price, Lucid had an incredible day today. They were up 8.25%, 8.25%, up almost over a little over a 15th of a percent in the after hours. They've actually had a pretty good week this week. Actually, sorry, I had my dates wrong. They're down 4.5% the last 5 days, but over the last month they're up 4.5%. Was actually they have had a substantial fall, but they've actually continued to maintain over the last month, which is relatively positive considering the market that we're in. Lucid was not an outlier, though. Tesla also had a great day today. Tesla was up 7% today, and the SPY as a whole was up 2% day. So overall, great day to be in the market. It's been a rough past couple of weeks and months. Just be safe. You never know what things could change. I think the market mainly reacted to the Federal Reserve minute meetings yesterday. I talked a little bit about it in this video, but basically there were no surprises, and the Fed is not planning on a recession, which is actually a little bit contrary to a lot of the earnings reports that I've been reading. So that's why I think the market reacted as positively as it did today. Now, do I think that we will be in a recession? I think we are in a recession. I will be shocked if we're not. But the Federal Reserve remains very optimistic that we will not be in a recession and that we'll make it out of Q2 alive. We talked about that a little bit yesterday, but there is something that I do think that we need to talk about. Business Insider released an article. Now, Business Insider has not necessarily been, in my opinion, the best outlet, just because I haven't agreed with the way that they presented the Elon Musk situation. Obviously, you don't condone anything like that, but as Elon Musk has said personally, he says all of those accusations are completely false. So I don't trust Business Insider that much. So take this with a grain of salt, but I do think that there are some points that we can talk about in here. Let me go ahead and pull up my screen for you guys. All right. So right here, I put a star just because I wanted to say that disclaimer about what I think about Business Insider. I think that they do slander a lot of people and companies. And I wouldn't have said that unless Elon Musk had come out directly and said that those weren't true. But the day of, he came out and said that those accusations are wildly untrue. I don't know. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but let's talk about a couple of things. So we learn in the very first couple of paragraphs that there are two Lucid executives that are shifting roles, Peter and Nicholas, and they're switching quality control, basically making sure that the cars are coming out. And Business Insider is quick to point out that the company announced a recall on May 25th, which was actually 2 days ago. I know it was yesterday. Sorry, I thought today was the 27th. They announced it yesterday. And it looks, I don't know if Business Insider had this information already, but the fact that they're able to put this article together in less than 24 hours or a little over 24 hours is kind of crazy to me. So it's a little peculiar that they had this information so fast and all the other information we're about to get through. But let's read it. So they say it's second of 1,100 vehicles over a display issue. They note that Lucid has fallen. We know that. And then they taught the insider, so they have this, I guess that's why it's called Business Insiders, because they got insiders from Lucid to describe what's going on. And they said they've been reported broken windshield glass, ill-fitting parts, and installation problems during assembly. I mean, the broken windshield glass, I imagine things break. I imagine they windshields break during production, especially when you're machining parts together. I don't think that that's wildly uncommon. Ill-fitting parts and installation problems during assembly. These are just natural things as companies ramp up, so that's not that big of an issue. The next thing that it says is, we are committed to maintaining a consistent high level of quality as we ramp production towards our end-of-year goal of 12 to 14,000 vehicles. So that's what the insider told Lucid. So it sounds like even internally, they're still planning on hitting that 12 to 14,000 target. A lot of people were skepticizing that they were not going to be able to even hit that. They're going to have to revise down. However, we learned from the last earnings report, they did not, in fact, revise down, that they continued their production is going to go to 12 to 14,000 vehicles. Next, they talk about how they had 485 vehicles in the first quarter, then they produced 700 in the second quarter, but they didn't mention how many they produced in April, which I thought was kind of a low blow. Like they could have given Lucid the benefit of the doubt and be like, well, look how many they produced in April though. Because I believe they produced either 600 or 700. I'm blanking on the number right now. I believe, I can't remember exactly. I should remember that number. And then they continue to remind you that Lucid missed the target. Again, like Lucid Business Insider is just, it does not seem, and I'm just kind of learning this, the media outlets do not care to put people in the best light. Like it's just how twisted our society is the more drama you create, the more clicks you get. And I guess it's true, but I mean, come on, like tell the whole truth. Like, even if this is partly true, like this part is true, right? But you can tell the whole truth and you can still like, I don't know, not be a jerk, but oh well. This was interesting. I thought insiders previously reported that Lucid has resorted to buying parts off Amazon amid supplier mishaps, deploying corporate workers to help on the floor factory, scrambling for final assembly quality, sending developers to customers' homes to deal with software glitches. A lot of this we know. I think the Amazon detail is interesting, but it just goes to show that like they are trying extremely hard to get to these targets, and they're willing. Like even Elon, like I think that I just don't love this article. Like Elon Musk even talks about like he made it like seem like a cool thing. In Business Insider makes it kind of seem like a weakness in the chain, but Elon told a story. He's like, there was one USB-C cable that we needed. Like we could not get this cable. Like they were all gone. So we went to every store around us and bought all the USB-C cables or USB Type 2. I can't remember what kind of cable it was. And he said we bought them all. So like there's a shortage in our area. So because we bought them all. And so I think that it kind of just displays grit and perseverance when you're trying to get those things. Obviously, you really have an option when you have set the targets and you're missing parts. You kind of have to do what you need to do. But I think it's all right. Like I'm not mad about that. Like I'm happy that they're trying their hardest. That sounds like super naive to say, but I'm happy that they are putting forth a lot of effort rather than just sitting around. The insider says the production ramp remains very slow, and investors are very concerned that Lucid is going to have trouble scaling their volumes quick enough to hit those targets. All right, like okay. I feel like every company like has we've talked about that before, and you guys know like I try to be Lucid's like most intense critic, but I just think this article like puts Lucid in a worse light than it could. Anyways, sorry. Then they talk about things that we've already known, that Peter Rawlinson says like the commodities and the glass and carpeting are challenging. And then it talks about other EV companies and how they like want to also like have high quality. But then this part is something that I don't think we've heard too much about. We know this. Unfortunately, you can't sell a single quality car unless those visible parts are absolutely perfect, Rawlinson said this year. As soon as we're able to secure sufficient parts for sufficient quality. So we learn, and we've learned us on earnings calls many times, that Peter Rawlinson will not deliver a car that is not a satisfactory, like not a subpar quality car. It needs to have everything, and there's zero room for error. Which, I mean, obviously there's zero room for error with a lot of automotive companies, but there's a difference between like a Bentley and another car that like has panel gaps or something like that. So there's a difference in quality. And this is interesting. Insiders say this has hobbled the company. So they're trying to say that this has created a diversion in the company, which, oh well, we'll never know that. And this insider says there's nothing wrong with having a high quality mindset. You spend $170,000 on a luxury electronic automobile. The thing better be absolutely perfect. However, they may have been able to get those things going a little sooner had they focused on not necessarily Bentley type or Rolls-Royce type quality, but maybe focused on Lexus type quality. So this just comes down to the business's vision. What do they want? Do they want the Bentley Rolls-Royce type of quality, or do they want the Lexus quality? I think if you pick a standard, you stick with it. It sounds like Peter Rawlinson refuses to give an inch to poorly made vehicles that are not made perfect, which, I mean, you have to respect that he's sticking to that vision, that he's not compromising to where each car comes out progressively worse just because of investors' outside pressure, I should say. But I also, to kind of play devil's advocate, you should compromise on some things if it means, like, if your overall mission as a company is to help transition to a cleaner transportation system. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know their mission word for word, but that, like, you should do what's necessary to get to your vision, like the company's mission, to the next level. If luxury is that important to the mission, then maybe then you continue to maintain that. So I thought that was interesting. That was just a devil's advocate point of view. If they're going, like we all, like I've said this from the very first earning call we listened to, Peter Rawlinson will not go with volume over quality, or I should say, he will not compromise quality for volume, if that makes any sense. Like he would rather have low volume but higher quality than bad quality, higher volume. Hopefully that makes sense. Hope you guys understand this. I appreciate you guys' support. Consider subscribing. I had to pay for this stupid Business Insider article. Not stupid. I just don't really like the way that they shed light on companies, and I think it's slanderous a lot of times. And so I'm promptly going to go unsubscribe from Business Insider, but I subscribed so I could get this article for you guys. So I appreciate the support. Consider subscribing. That's the biggest thing you can do. Support me, subscribe. And like always, guys, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.